Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Finally, the day is here. Panthers and Bears. Thursday night football, getting you set right here on The Lock Shop. What's up? Nasty Chat's already going. Let's deliver some winners today, shall we? You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999 as well. Haas, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Dusty, a hectic morning, to say the least. As we all know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes of the Winnipeg and Edmonton sports talks. Can you hear me?
Huss, are you muted? No. It's you keep going, Huss. Keep talking. I can't hear you, but you keep going.
Oh, I got you.
We'll figure it out.
So, busy morning, couple of meetings for some behind the scenes part of the WST grind. But yes, I'm with you. Thursday night football, Bears, Panthers. Surprised we didn't go to 2 hours today to really break this down even more. See, Dusty would have loved that joke, but he apparently can't hear me right now. So we will get this cranked up. Allow me to give a shout out to everybody in chat, and especially for you E-Towners. Very interested to hear just how everyone's feeling going into this Oilers-Sharks game tonight. Dusty, hearing me or no? He's still on a no here. Let's get up and see what the chat's going on. But yeah, we got a big night tonight. And thank God we've got some hockey games because I know we were joking a little bit about the about this football game tonight between the Bears and the Panthers. But we here in Winnipeg will be down at the rink. We're watching on the tube, Jets and Preds, big Central Division matchup. And then 31 versus 32, Oilers and Sharks coming up in about coming up tonight. And this is a must win, to say the least. I know everyone out there. Dusty was talking about potentially bringing on the -2.5. Speaking of which, while we wait to get him to be able to hear me, let's fire this up right now. -352 for the Oilers on the money line. Sharks money line +285. The puck line though is it's -143, but it's only at 1.5. I know Dusty was thinking about 2.5. And you can get plus money on the Oilers by 3. So Edmonton by 3 tonight, -2.5.
I got back just in time. You're talking about the Oilers -2.5, eh?
Well, listen, I joked that we probably should have done a 2-hour show today just to take care of this monster Thursday nighter. But in reality, we've got a big slate of games tonight in the National Hockey League. Now, let's see if we can repeat our success from Tuesday. But Jets, Preds at home, and then, of course, the Oilers and Sharks. And I was just doing a little update to the line, -352. Although I was somewhat surprised that the puck line they're offering is -1.5. Although we shouldn't be surprised, considering the way the Oilers have played. But I know you had speculated on a -2.5 puck line.
I did.
And that is a nice plus money number at +122. That's almost where the Oilers have to start tonight, as far as where the fans are considered.
Did you get into my EST extravaganza that's available already in the exclusives page? We put this one together. It's +525. Listen to this, Huss. This is a full-blown Oilers are back on track scenario here, okay?
Hey, will it to happen? Will it to happen, Dusty?
Power play goals in the game over 1.5. Oilers -1.5. Connor McDavid goal, Leon Draisaitl 2+ points, Nuge point, and Bouchard point, +525. And then I went out on the show this morning and made the bold statement that I could see most of this happening in the first period. Like, this could be a no sweater. They have to come out like they came out against Vancouver, outshot them 19-2 in like the first 12 minutes. And just couldn't get the second goal, right? They got one, they couldn't get the second one. If they come out like that against the San Jose Sharks, you would hope that they're up by 3 goals at the end of the first period. So San Jose's penalty kill sucks. The Oilers' power play has been struggling, but I would say the top unit is probably due. The Oilers' penalty kill sucks as well, and the Sharks' power play has been okay-ish as of late. So I love the power play goals tonight. So that's a big one. It's plus 525, but that's a full-blown City of Edmonton party if that one hits tonight.
I mean, it has to happen. I'm always interested, especially in these dark times, to connect with you after the Nielsen show, before Winnipeg Sports Talk, and just to gauge where everyone's at. Like, are there legitimate nerves around Edmonton just because this is a game that, no matter how bad they've been, you assume that they are going to absolutely roll? But there is another side of the coin, and that is a 285 San Jose Sharks money line bet that is out there. I don't think many people will be on it, but they are hot. They have won one in a row, Dusty.
They are heating up. You know what? It's funny, though, because it's like, as bad as this start has been, I think people who are freaking out and saying, oh, this is rock bottom for the Oilers, I think there's like a still small glimmer of hope that there's that good team that's lost to the defending Stanley Cup champions 2 years in a row. But if they, for some reason, lose to the Sharks tonight or narrowly squeak by the Sharks, tomorrow's show is going to be straight fire. Like, this is set up for when you look at, like, you can't even call this a trap game. Like, when you're an awful team, you don't play in trap games against other bad teams. Like, they need to go out tonight and establish themselves as the dominant club early going here. If they lose this game tonight, somebody joked in our show today, says, does Jay Woodcroft just walk in the room today and go, guys, if we lose, I'm done. So please appreciate me and go out and get a dub. Because if they lose tonight, man, somebody will have to be fired tomorrow. It's as simple as that.
That's, I mean, it's hard to wrap my head around that, to be perfectly honest with you. A month ago, we were talking about this team as the odds-on favorite to win the West and potentially win the Stanley Cup. But a start, I mean, listen, this start is, I mean, historically bad for a team that is expected to do great things. What's Connor and Leon had to say the last couple days? Because let's face it, this team goes as they go.
Well, they don't go very good as of late, right? So,
well, that's the thing. I mean, and they've got a lot to shoulder. I mean, they're the leaders on this team. McDavid's the captain, and he's not the chattiest of guys at the best of times. But I mean, I just think about how unhinged he looked at the end of that game on Monday night. You know, in the penalty box, yelling at the ref. Draisaitl took the 10. I mean, they need those guys in a good, as good as a possible mental space tonight to go out and do what they do. Because, I mean, if they're even close to normal, they roll in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, they're essentially playing against, AHL level competition right now in this matchup tonight. But I'm fascinated to see how this goes. I mean, I'll be at the game coming back, but we'll be paying attention. And if I open up the score app and see it's like 8 minutes into the game and it's 2-0 Sharks or something like that, I mean,
I'd still be the sucker and live bet the Oilers at whatever the number is. I mean,
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too.
It's interesting. Like, no matter what happens tonight, even if they beat them, everybody will just go, oh, it's the Sharks, which I understand and might be true, because if they go and lay a dud against the Kraken, everybody's going to be in full blown panic mode again. Like, right now, you can see, they haven't been getting much goaltending. They haven't been able to score. They are a train wreck defensively. But I think if they lose to the Sharks, then there's this full-blown discussion of what is wrong with this group in general, that they can't put it together with the skill that they've got to get by the San Jose Sharks. So, a huge game. Huge game for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Dare I say, November 9th, against the worst team in the National Hockey League, maybe ever, it's a must-win for the Edmonton Oilers. This is where we're at tonight, Huss.
Well, it is a must-win. I mean, you kind of laid it out. I'm not sure whether they would fire Jay Woodcroft literally on the spot or over the course of the next day. But I mean, they made their move after the Vancouver game, ironically, for a guy that was not in the lineup, but Jack Campbell's gone. Is Pickard starting?
That has not been confirmed yet. I don't think they've had. No, it's only 10-12 out there, so they would not had their morning skate just yet. I don't think.
That's going to be
Let
interesting.
me double check on the time of that.
See what DFO has to say about this.
Who would you start? We had this discussion 1,000 times over. Gazdick today said that he would start Skinner because by sending Campbell down, you're basically saying, Stuart Skinner, this is your team now. You have to be the guy, so you give him the start. Could be a feel-good spot for him if they do roll a comfortable victory, which I think would go a long way for him right now. But at the same time, if you're sending Jack Campbell down to kind of shock the group by playing the guy that you called up to replace him. So where do you come out on that from outside the market?
You know, I guess I say Skinner because, first of all, you need to get this guy a win and get him feeling good about himself. I mean, he was the one that was in last game. I mean, like, I know we can talk about Jack Campbell all day long and how, you know, he's making the money. And Stuart Skinner just signed a contract last year. He was at the All-Star game. He hasn't been getting it done this year either. Now, and I'm also not a guy to blame it all on the goalies. I mean, you've watched more of the Oilers this year than I have, but they have not been locking it down in their own end to say the least. So they put these goaltenders in terrible positions. But here's the thing. If you started Pickard tonight and he sucks and they lose to San Jose.
Oh boy.
Then you're going back to Skinner. You essentially, I mean, you would blow any optimism that Pickard could be a guy that could come in and help you.
That would be done right then because you lost to San Jose. Yeah, you're right.
It would be over. So I kind of think they give Stewie Skins this spot to try and get in, get a win, get a little bit of positive momentum. And then depending on how he played tonight, Woodcroft can then decide when they're going to give Pickard an opportunity. Ideally, to put him in a situation where he can have a strong game, get a win, and then all of a sudden you have a couple guys that are actually playing, like you're making your decisions on them, who you got a better feel with and who's playing better, as opposed to the lesser of two terrible options.
Fun times. Fun times in Edmonton right now. I will point out for everybody on Edmonton Sports Talk, we do have our pregame show tonight, Tommy Gazzola, and if the Oilers lose to the Sharks, the post-game show might just shut down YouTube tonight. Like, we'll see how it goes. I made the joke today
Back up your server.
Yeah,
Back up your server.
Tommy could pretty much go from post-game tonight until we come in live at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning and not have to leave. We'd keep hundreds of people on the YouTube chat the entire night. So we've got that going for us. Yeah. You did say busy slate in the NHL, Huss. Quickly on Winnipeg, let's discuss the Jets here, and then we can build a little NHL partner parlay for tonight before we go over to the NFL dud that we've got on the schedule. By the way, Pat Gregoire is going to be by here in about 10 minutes as well.
Yeah, we can get into the football at that point.
Yeah.
I'm sure Patty's got something to make this football game interesting tonight. Yeah, well, listen, the Jets played a hell of a game against the Blues last time out. Really, they had a tough game against Vegas, but like they've been all year long. I mean, you look at their 5-on-5 play and their 5-on-5 numbers, they've been really good. I mean, the Jets have been a top 10 team the entire season when it comes to 5-on-5 expected goals, all those metrics that you like to see. But it had been the special teams that had been killing them. And the power play last year was average, I would say, for Winnipeg. But the penalty killing was elite. I mean, the penalty killing was up near the top of the league for pretty much the entire season. And that was a real backbone to Winnipeg. That hadn't been the case. They finally scored a power play goal against Vegas last Thursday. Scored a huge power play goal in the game against the Coyotes on Saturday afternoon. And it was the first time in ages that they just came out awash in special teams. They gave up a penalty kill goal with 2 seconds left, and they scored one. The game on Tuesday against St. Louis was probably their best special teams game of the year. They just started, maybe a little bit more puck luck, but moving the puck better, getting to the front of the net, which when the Jets are struggling, they really end up being out by the perimeter and are somewhat predictable. So all that's going well. And the 5-on-5 play in the game against St. Louis was as good as it's been. I mean, this has turned into a really deep, consistent team, which is exactly what the coaching staff was hoping they would get. Scheifele led all forwards. He had a huge game with 3 points, but he did it in under 19 minutes. And the 12th forward played 11 minutes. So everyone was getting out there, regular shift, all those guys doing their job. And you know what? The defense has actually been a little bit better lately too. Guys, being more involved in the offense. So the Jets are in a good place right now. This is the old dreaded first game at home after coming off of a road trip. So, but I just think that right now with the competition they have in the lineup, Gabriel Velarde skated today for the first time since
Good
being injured
news.
against the game. He had a brace on his leg. So, I mean, first time on the ice. He won't be back right away, but that's definitely good to see. But listen, I mean, I think you can feel pretty good about where the Jets are right now as a minus 126 favorite. I kind of thought that number would be bigger. I mean, that number was bigger in Arizona and St. Louis on the road than it is at home. And Nashville, I mean, they just lost to Calgary. They've had some tough losses, although I guess they did have that big win last Saturday afternoon that apparently the odds makers are giving them a lot of credit for. They do have a great goaltender, and we won't see Hellebuck tonight. That's probably the other reason why this number is a little lower. Brossoit's in after Hellebuck played the games on the road. So, listen, I like the Jets right now. They're a funny team when we're talking about, like, who's going to score. I mean, it was Scheifele and Connor show last game, but they were quiet for 5 games before that, and they were really being carried by the likes of Nito Niederreiter, Adam Lowry, Mason Appleton. One guy that Jet fans would love to see have a big game is Nikolai Ehlers, who I see is plus 225 to score tonight. But again, just about getting the win. We'll put something together, I'm sure, for a WST with a Jet win and a couple other player props after we cash that plus 375 for the St. Louis game over on Tuesday.
All right, what about the rest of this slate, buddy? Let's put together a little NHL 3-gamer here. There's a few things that kind of pop off the schedule to me right away, but it's a busy slate. Let me just quickly run everybody through here. Islanders and Bruins, Habs and Red Wings, Wild and the Rangers, Canucks and the Sens, Blackhawks and the Lightning, Dallas and Columbus, Arizona is in St. Louis, Nashville's in Winnipeg, as we just set that up. Kraken are facing the Avalanche in Colorado. Penguins get the Kings. Kings on the second half of a back-to-back after a nice win against Vegas last night. That was a fun hockey game to watch. And then the Oilers and the Sharks, the latest game on the sked. Kings and Penguins starting at the same time there. So lots to choose from tonight. We've been rolling pretty good with these Lock Shop partner parlays on these busy NHL slates. What jumps off the page for you?
Well, let's see here. I mean, I don't want to put the Jets in on it because I've been very successful not touching them in on our regular partner parlays. Listen, I mean, Dallas at minus 231, that's a big number. Do we think puck line there? Maybe, but Columbus does actually have a habit of losing close games as opposed to getting killed. This Vancouver-Ottawa game is really interesting. Like, Ottawa is a slight underdog at home, and they're coming off that massive win last night. I don't know. Remember I said I was thinking about all 3 road teams yesterday, and
Yeah.
we sort of then thought, well, maybe Toronto. Well, the good thing was the game that I did lay out single was the Kings plus 117.
We hit that.
one came through, and
We hit that parlay too on the over and the under yesterday too.
Yeah.
So not bad. Not bad day.
that was at plus 203. But here's the thing: the Canucks have been so good. And the Ottawa Senators have been like just really up and down. Like the way they played, like I don't know if you caught the third period of that game, but they were up 3-2. The Leafs scored relatively early in the third period. You thought, okay, here we go again. And then Ottawa just took over. I mean, they scored 3 goals. There is some unbelievably disjointed defense on the part of the Leafs. Like John Klingberg is almost unplayable right now. Man, he should have taken the money from Dallas. Oh, geez. that ship has sailed right now. But that to me is a really tough spot. Like normally I think I would sort of like Ottawa in that position, but they are playing on the second end of a back-to-back, and they're playing against a team that comes in with a hell of a lot of steam in the Vancouver Canucks. So even though Ottawa beat the Leafs last night, I don't mind this spot for Vancouver, and they're a slight favorite at -116.
That number jumped out the page for me too, man. I saw it instantly, and I was like, this is pretty good value against a Vancouver team that's just been one of the best in the league, an Ottawa team that's been up and down and are coming off a big up in the second half of back-to-back. So -116, I love it. I love that.
I mean, if we want to pick off teams that are like, I've kind of been the one place that you look at these teams that have had bad starts, there is something to teams that are really freaking desperate right now. And to me, the Ottawa Senators they were that desperate team last night and got the win. The Pittsburgh Penguins are that spot. And this is a tough place for LA. I mean, you come back from the road and you're playing a home game the very next day after leaving it all out of the tank to beat the Vegas Golden Knights last night. Pittsburgh beat Anaheim in their last game out. They did get a shutout. They've been there, resting, ready to go. For looking for an upset, I don't mind Pittsburgh in this situation. Maybe more of a spot game against LA, although, I mean, certainly that's a little riskier. As I said, it's an underdog. It's plus money.
I was on Pittsburgh against Anaheim a couple days ago, and it worked out. I don't love it just because the Kings are freaking awesome.
They are,
but I can say, like, the spot has the Kings at -117, right? Like, if both these teams were coming in on 2 days rest, I think the Kings would be a -130 or -140 favorite. Right?
There's no doubt about it.
So, I mean, if we the other one that I want to get your thoughts on, Haas, this Rangers Wild game. The Rangers are -117. Their only loss in their last 9 was to Minnesota. So I feel like the Rangers are in a spot here at home against the Minnesota Wild where it's a little bit of a, okay, you got us, and it wasn't that long ago. Now it's our turn. So I like the Rangers a lot tonight against Minnesota.
Do we trust Louis Domingue?
I will never not trust Louis Domingue, Huss. Look, it's a little, okay, so it's Louis Domingue. But, I mean, they've won 7 of their last 8. Their only loss was to the Rangers, or to the Wild in a shootout. Like, I don't know if I really care who's in net for the New York Rangers, to be honest with you.
No, and let's just take a quick look at, just to refresh ourselves on where the Wild are at coming into this game.
It's quite the drug to be riding a parlay on Louis Domingue, I will say that, but
yeah, and I guess that win, I mean, they've won 2 in a row. The first win was that win against the Rangers.
Yeah.
And then they went into New York and beat the Islanders in their last spot. Listen, I think the Rangers are definitely a better team than the Minnesota Wild. I mean, you would certainly like to have, one of their top goalies in. But I guess right now they just went with Quick in the last game. So Louis Domingue, the third stringer, is going to get. I mean, that's why that number is what it is. I mean, if even it was Jonathan Quick, we're probably looking at -150 or so. So yeah, listen, I'm fine. I'm in on the Rangers if that's what
the Louis Domingue American League numbers this year. As we go full DGen, Hartford Wolfpack, he's 3-1, 1.75 goals against, .934 save percentage. That's good enough to get you called up here in Edmonton. You're going to get the start. You're going to get the start for the Rangers, a Rangers team that I think should have a little bit of a thorn in their side here, because the only team that's beat them in the last 3 weeks is the Minnesota Wild. So unless Domingue drops an absolute stinker tonight, I just really like the Rangers at that number. I'd take that heat. I'll take the blame on this one. If it doesn't, actually, I'll pass the blame along to Louis Domingue. But yeah, I take that one because I just love getting a team as good as the Rangers at -117. It's just
okay. So here's another game that I'm interested in your thoughts on. Arizona at St. Louis. Arizona had that, they had that 2-0 lead against the Jets. They blew it. They lost 5-3. They come back with a 4-3 win against the Kraken heading into St. Louis. The Blues, for their part, Just lost to the Jets. They'd beaten the Canadians and Devils before that, but had come off 2 losses, and that was the first time they'd won 2 in a row all year. Like, I actually think the Coyotes are a better team than the Blues. And then you add in the fact that Carl Vejmelka, who I think is amazing, maybe Jet fans think that a little bit more because of the way that he routinely stoned the Jets for the last couple years. But he's in net, and no Binnington. They're going with Joel Hofer tonight. Or they say that's likely. It was confirmed, but they are expecting Joel Hofer and Vejmelka to be the guys tonight. Like, I can make an argument that Arizona is the team to play in this one, just frankly because they're better than the Blues. And they have played once already this year at the Enterprise Center, and it was 6-2 for the Coyotes. Now, the Blues will probably remember that. But I can tell you, just from watching them for 3 periods, they were completely outclassed for the most part against the Jets on Tuesday night. So on a neutral playing field, just asking who's better, I think Arizona's better than St. Louis right now. And again, that one is for all intents and purposes a pick 'em, I think. Arizona's they're minus 105. St. Louis minus 112. But what do you think about that one on either side of it as we look to get a third game for this?
I think you're making a pretty convincing case on the Coyotes. What do you think? I know you brought up Dallas early, and you're like, is there really no value there? You could go puck line on Dallas against Columbus. Also in regulation, the Stars it moves from like minus 230 to minus 130. I think it's like minus 135 for Dallas in regulation tonight. Like
it's at minus 137
yeah,
right now.
Which is a pretty significant jump from just the straight up money line. Like to move that
I think
far.
that's the play.
Yeah.
I think that's the play. Because listen, that Arizona St. Louis game is relatively close to a coin flip in a lot of ways. But I'm just going to hear we take Pittsburgh out. Yeah, I mean, Canucks minus 116, Rangers minus 117, Stars in regulation minus 137.
That's got to be good.
And it comes up right to our sweet spot, plus 497.
5-1 when it's all said and done. A little bit more of a bump. I like that one. Okay, let's do it. Let's lock that in. Ev Dog, well, I know Patty's watching right now. We're going to bring him in right away. Let me just text Awanik and have him come in and put to Pat in. All right, so that's what we're doing. We're going Dallas in regulation, Vancouver money line, and the New York Rangers on the money line as well for tonight. Huss, we'll bring in Pat here in just a second. Give me your early thoughts on the Thursday nighter.
Well, this is what Thursday night football is all about. Giving the worst teams in the league the opportunity to play in prime time. It warms my heart thinking about the old Thursday night Super Bowl, the annual Jags-Texans game that kicked off a week. This is now that the Jags are good and the Texans are on the come up, this is the new Jags-Texans, Carolina and Chicago. And it is very interesting, partly because, of course, of the trade. I mean, Chicago owns Carolina's pick.
Yeah.
So in some ways, I mean, like Bears fans don't want them to win right now because they want their pick to stay bad. Someone has to win this game.
Do they? Do they?
Yes. Maybe just go for a tie, 3-3 tie. No, 6-6 tie while we hit the over 3.5 field goals. That would be the most appropriate lock shop result of all time for this one tonight.
All right.
But as far as the actual game goes, without Justin Fields in, Tyson Badgett's there. I've been waiting to see how this would move. I think I'm leaning towards the Panthers and taking the points. Like, I'd feel a lot better about it if Brian Burns was playing. But listen, these teams stink. And I think last week's game, and you look at the score in that Colts Panther game, it really does seem a lot worse than it was because Bryce Young threw 2 pick sixes. Now, if he throws more pick sixes, they're probably not going to cover the number. But I have to think that he will be a little bit more disciplined in throwing the football. And the big thing is not getting down early. Good luck with that. But yeah, I mean, I think my lean is going to be on the 3.5. The total for this game is 38. as we expected. And let's face it, we all know what my favorite bet is tonight.
Yeah.
Total field goals 3.5 plus 110.
We were
the
joking
over.
on the Nielsen show when Patty popped by today, and we'll bring him in right now. We want the alternate line of over 5.5 field goals tonight. Give us 6 field goals in this game. Patty, what's up, buddy?
Doing good, boys. I'm trying to pump myself up for this football game, but it is so bad. It is so bad. The only thing that could get me fired up for this is field goals. You know, that's my best bet, but I had to do some digging, and there's some other plays that I like.
What about in general for this game? I mean, staying away from the sides here. Huss said I mean, if you have to, he'd probably be on Carolina, mostly because just both teams stink. And in this type of situation, that might be the most logical way to look at it.
That's usually the play. When there's two bad teams, you just take the points. I really don't think one team is really better than the other. I think under 38 is certainly a play. If you want that half point, I know you can get it at minus 115 right now at CoolBet. So that's a play. If I had to pick like something on the main outrights, whether it's spread, money line, or total points, I would be going under 38. I just don't think either of these offenses are very good. Bryce Young hasn't started the NFL career the way that he wanted, the way that the Panthers wanted, especially when you see CJ Stroud absolutely lighting this league on fire. You got to feel for Carolina fans right about now. The beauty Badgent himself. I don't really like, I mean, he's fought, like he's a good game manager, but what type of game manager is going to really light up the scoreboard? So under 38.5. See, now the more I'm talking about it, the more I actually kind of like this play. I know it's a low total, but give me a big 10 under 38.5.
I have bet the Panthers. It's official.
You sick bastard. Unbelievable.
I've bet the Panthers plus 3.5.
Who bets a side in this game? Unbelievable.
And I have bet the over field goals, obviously, at plus 110. Hear me out. The one thing that we have to talk about the fact that the Bears could have taken Bryce Young or any of the quarterbacks if they wanted to last year with their pick. They ended up trading it. And then Bryce Young has really struggled in the first half of his first year. What about Bryce Young going off tonight for like 4 touchdowns and 300 yards? What about Bryce Young just sticking it to the Bears? And even though he's played terrible against everybody else, goes out against Chicago, bounces back from that tough game, maybe feels a little bit more free, less pressure on the road, and just has a monster game. 4 touchdowns. I'm sure we could get a big number on that. Bryce Young to throw 4 TDs. I'm not suggesting that will happen, but I do think that there is an element of Murphy's Law when it comes to the Chicago Bears. The only reason why that wouldn't be a complete disaster for the Bears is that would mean they lose and they still maintain their spot at the bottom of the standings. It's fascinating right now when it comes to, these two teams. And when we talk about the draft next year, because both picks held by Chicago. But overall, both of them, shall we say are going to be in that mix for the first pick, how it all shakes out. But it's really 1 win Cardinals, 1 win Panthers, and the Cards have already traded their pick to the Texans. Wouldn't that be something if the Cards finish last? They have CJ Stroud, who's their guy of the future, and then what draft capital would you be able to get for the first overall pick this year?
In this year's draft, buddy? That would be huge. That would be absolutely huge. We're going to have to build a parlay here. Now, I mean, you usually it's just a steady diet of player props and over. I mean, I don't know if there's some unders you guys like tonight. I feel like such a degen because I'm staring at Darnell Mooney's game log, Adam Thielen's game log, and Tyson Badgent's game log. And I'm just like, what are we even doing here? You know what I mean? Like, it's tough.
What about Edmonton guy Chuba Hubbard?
Yeah, Hubbard's always been great. What's he at, 41.5?
41.5.
Let me bring up Chuba's game log here. Yeah, this is the saddest group of game logs I've had up all season, not going to lie.
Well,
Yeah.
While you're pulling that up, maybe I'll make a case for a little love for my Notre Dame tight end Cole Kmet. In the first start in the Tyson Bagent era, he had 0 targets, but since then he has been that comfort blanket, similar to when I was talking about a few weeks ago with one of these Bear primetime games. That Kmet was Fields' comfort blanket. In his second start, 10 catches on 10 targets. And then last week, he goes 6 catches on 8 targets for 2 touchdowns. So I actually like Kmet on any of his props, whether it's him finding the back of the end zone for a touchdown at plus 250. I actually really like that. His reception yards are at 34.5 at minus 110. And then the receptions over 3.5 is minus 154. Probably too juicy for my liking for a straight up bet. But when
for
we're
a
building a parlay here,
yeah,
I really like that one right there.
I'm on board with that. I'm a huge Cole Kmet fantasy stan, so I like anything with Cole Kmet. The over 3.5 catches tonight at minus 154 to put into a parlay, buddy. I don't think, Huss, you're not opposed to that one, right? We can start there.
No, to be honest, I was suggesting we maybe even make it 4.5 and see if we can get a better number than minus 154.
I like that. We can definitely make it 4.5, and we'll definitely get a better number. So let's do it. I mean, let's put that in there. I like it.
I mean, 10-6 in his last 2 games, they're going up against Carolina, and they don't have a lot of other options. I mean, young quarterbacks that are just getting in, I mean, they're going to go to what they know. And Pat laid it out. I mean, listen, if we could get closer to even money with a 4.5, I think it helps the parlay in a big way. And as I said, I think you guys have laid it out pretty darn good as to where he's been.
So here's what I will say. So I like that. I'm okay with Chuba. I am willing to part ways with the over 3.5 field goals for Patty's primetime parlay. I am okay with stepping aside and giving it to the
You're going to give that to us.
Parlay.
You're going to give it to us.
I will hand it over because let's be honest, this is a gift from the football gods with over 3.5 field goals. Unless, Huss was feeling spicy. He might even say, let's go over 4.5. I'm good with the 3.5.
Well, you know what the funny thing is? I don't know whether these offenses are good enough to both score over 2 times. So I think I'm willing to go up on the Cole Kmet. It's the field goal prop that's expecting 5 scores in this game. I mean, I could easily see this one ending 9-3, guys.
100%.
That's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
That's why I love the under.
Goal line stand on the final play of the game from the 1 for one of these teams to hold them off and win 9-3. What do you think about Chuba, though? He's, what am I looking at? 58 yards on 16 carries, 28 yards on 15 against Houston, 88 yards on 19 carries against the Dolphins. And then 35 on 9, 41 on 14. I mean, he's getting plenty of touches right now as the guy. I see Miles Sanders is in there, and his total is only 22. So it certainly seems like he's the lead back right now.
The one thing that does concern me, I love Chuba. He's Canada's cowboy. There's not really a lot when it comes to overs that I do like. The one thing about Chicago's defense that is good is stopping the rush. They're averaging 3.3 yards per carry against, and they are pretty stout when it comes to defending the rush. I believe, actually, I've got it up here. They are 4th best in yards against per game at 79.7. That's my only concern.
The other thing I would worry about a little bit is continuing to get Miles Sanders back involved as well. And he handles a lot. He handles a few of the receiving. He had 5 targets last week. He got 3 of them. So he's going to get his snaps out there. He had 6 carries for 39 yards. in that last game too. So I worry a little bit. Like, I love Chuba. I mean, I'm never going to say no to Chuba, but I
know
little hesitant on it just because as Miles Sanders gets worked back in here. I mean, where are we at on some sort of interception in this game?
Well, but we should have an over, much like just over 3.5 field goals. It should just be over picks, like for both teams. Like, is that
Just go over 1.5 interceptions?
Oh, if you want to leave it there, I was thinking 2, 3, 4.
Oh my
God. I'm just trying to get the full team statistics. I am interested with the receiving props from the Panthers side of things.
Okay, so I was reading about this a little bit earlier today, and Chicago, as Patty mentioned, they actually, from a fantasy perspective, which would tie into a prop perspective, they do really well. Not really well, but they get caved by tight ends, the Chicago defense, but they do okay against wide receivers and running backs. But Adam Thielen has been targeted like 1 million times. Like when you talk about a young quarterback finding somebody that's extremely they become extremely reliant upon. Here's Adam Thielen's last 6 games. 5 catches on 6 targets, 8 catches on 11 targets, 11 catches on 13 targets, 11 catches on 13 targets, 7 catches on 8 targets, and 11 catches on 14 targets. Like, I think his number's at 6.5 catches tonight.
It is.
And he's been over that number in 5 of his last 6 and has crushed the number in 3 of those 5. It's just a matter of if we think Young will be throwing the ball much in here. His yards are...
What's his yardage in those 5 games?
In the 5 games in which he got at least 7 catches or at least 8 targets, 72, 115, 107, 76, and 145. And what's it at, 69.5?
69.5.
69.5 at minus 110, and over 6.5 is at minus 120.
The only thing I worry about is putting anything on this card offensively. It's just, but I do like that. I mean, the guy has just been a target machine this season.
No, I think if we go a Kmet, field goals, and Thielen, I kind of like where that ends up at.
I really like the sounds of that.
We really spent a lot of time working on a parlay for this bloody game, boys. I'm not gonna lie.
Normally we each have like 4 props that we like.
I know.
We're arguing which ones. This one's we're like just clawing to find something that doesn't sound awful.
But I think it's worked out. I think it's worked out well. Huss, did we say the yards or the catches with Thielen?
Well, we haven't decided yet. Just quickly, while we talk about that, hey, Rem Most in chat. Rem, were you the guy that gave us the over 5.5 in that AHL game a couple weeks ago?
Is he back?
Is that him?
He just mentioned, I think it is. Because he had a couple. Rem, if you can confirm that was the Bridgeport game that we took. We thanked you the next day. We didn't see you. We thought you were just kind of
a figment of our imagination. Yeah,
dropping the lock shop winner on us and leaving. So Rem, if you're still here, confirm whether you were not the AHL whisperer who dropped that one on us. 70 or that's him. Says Savage the Flubber. Right on.
Oh my God,
looking for you.
Amazing.
The Lock Shop Guardian Angel. He's back.
The Lock Shop Guardian Angel. God.
Hey, you had a feel free. Although he also does like the he's behind us on the Rangers. He said the last game they lost to the Wild, they blew a 3-0 lead. Revenge will be on their minds, even with Louis Domingue in it.
Well, thank you very much, Rem Most. This is excellent.
Yards over 69.5 minus 110. Or catches 6.5 minus 120.
I want to say catches, because no matter even if the Bears are good, in holding receivers in check from a fantasy and player prop perspective. That doesn't mean Bryce Young's not going to throw to him, right? Like he's going to throw to him as often as he possibly can. So there might not be much after the catch. So I think I'd probably take the 6.5. But Patty, do you have a hard side on this one way or the other?
No, but I would lean to the catches. Again, we're going to actually buy up to 4.5. So we'll get a better number on the Kmet. So I'm okay with going with the minus 120 on the Thielen prop. I agree. I think he's going to try to just force feed Thielen here tonight. I really do.
All right, so let's do that. So we got the over 3.5 field goals, Cole Kmet over 4.5 catches, Thielen over 6.5 catches, and it's just all about the receptions. Let's play some ball control offense, short passes to reliable receivers by young, struggling QB.
Can I throw out one more quick request here? It comes from a fellow DGen here. I remember stay cool, bet responsibly with CoolBet, but Lock Shop Prop. This is a suggestion we have. Which is the higher number tonight? Total field goals in this game versus San Jose Sharks goals against the Oilers tonight. The Oilers are giving up more than 4 goals per game. But this is the San Jose Sharks. Patty, do you think you guys can even put something like that together?
I can certainly ask.
Take a look at it and then text me if you can
take
get
a
it.
look.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know it is tough because it is more like the San Jose Barracudas, whatever their AHL team is.
Yeah. It's tough to get a read on that, but I like the idea. I love the idea. Yeah.
We're going to ask
what do you think the line would be? If you were setting the line for that, what would it be? I think it would be field goals minus 225, I think.
Which is
I don't have a lot of faith in the Oilers defensively here, but I think field goals would probably be favored by about that. Somewhere in that minus 200.
Let's face it, the line is, it basically says that they're expecting like 3 field goals in this game.
Yeah, so it's
over. And the Shark team total is San Jose Sharks goals over 2.5 is plus 116. So yeah, you're talking about probably like minus 190, minus 200 for field goals.
Now that I'm looking at this and all the good juju that I just probably built up with the nasty chat, I'm looking at San Jose Sharks over 2.5 goals at plus 116, and I kind of really like that.
all they have to do is skate with the puck on the rush, and the Oilers will be rattled. Okay, so yeah, it's not too much going on
boys,
there. All right.
Hey, before I run, so yeah, Panthers, I love that. We're gonna lock that in over 3.5 field goals.
Yep.
Kmet over 4.5, Thielen over 6.5. I'll look for that in the exclusives, and of course, just a single bet over on it. And our NHL partner parlay will be up there too. Big night on Tuesday. Let's see if we can do it again. Dusty,
partner parlay is already up us plus 575. By the way. So we got a huge boost on that one. So that's nice.
We'll be betting one right now before WST.
Boys, fellas. Our other partner parlay is up.
It's up.
And it is a big.
How's that possible?
It is a big number. I don't know.
We just confirmed it.
Look at Huss's face. It's a big number.
Plus 1025.
1025 on the field goals and the catches.
Yes.
Oh, let's cash that, boys. My God.
Yes. You know what? Maybe this will be a great game after all.
What a glorious night inside the Lock Shop. All right, Huss's Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up. I got the Fantasy Football 5, 2 guys and a goalie on the way as well. Patty, thanks for stopping by. I didn't even text you, Patty, but Huss needs you guys tomorrow because I'm going to be on a flight to Winnipeg. So just a heads up. Get the crew together.
Perfect. We'll recap the greatest NFL game of all time tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It will be if Thielen and Kmet have big games, boys. Yes. That's for sure.
Yes.
You send me those picks tomorrow, and we'll get a couple exclusives for the weekend as well. To my friends in Edmonton, have faith. This one you got to have tonight. And hey, I was going to say it could be worse. It could always be the Panthers and the Bears, but that's essentially the NHL version of the Panthers and the Bears right now.
All right.
Sorry. That was a cheap shot, a low blow. See you guys tomorrow. Patty and Dusty, we'll see you in the pen.
Yep, see you guys tomorrow. There we go. That's the Lock Shop. All right, let's get after it. It is the Fantasy Football 5. Matt, you can kill the Lock Shop graphics on the side there. I guess I didn't think about that when we made those. All right, Fantasy Football 5. We had somebody text in like way earlier in the show. Man, I am wheeling and dealing this year. I went out and got Aaron Jones in one of my leagues. Fantasy Football 5 has basically become me sharing all of my league information with everybody. But I don't know to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing in this one league. But we moved to the sleeper, not our league, Maddie, a different league. Although I do have another trade lurking in that league too. Do you want Terry McLaurin? No, you're good at receiver. You're usually pretty good at receiver. You need running backs.
No, I had an offer made today for which I could have got a pick, but I just didn't have time to respond. It's already been withdrawn on me.
What was that offer? Tell me about it.
It was Plaxico, P-Sweat,
Yeah.
offered me a third for Michael Wilson, the receiver out of Cardinals.
Oh, and he ended up trading that third for Curtis Samuel to Tannis.
Because I would have made that move.
Yeah.
I've just been busy.
I've got
and I was like, yeah, I could gladly move like one of my depth guys for a pick next year, and I didn't even get a chance to make the move. So I was worried maybe you swooped in.
No, I've got a deal.
Because I saw there was a
sitting out there.
bunch of things going on in our league.
Yeah.
And I just haven't had time to read them yet.
I got a deal out there that's on the verge of going down. I'm trading because I'm kind of in like weird hang on, but kind of rebuild mode. So I've been offered a second rounder for Terry McLaurin. So I'm probably going to trade Terry McLaurin. But anyway, the Wandering Cone Football League, and this is why the app that you use matters. Because on Yahoo, we'd never get any trades. But on Sleeper, it just seems to be so much easier. I don't know why. So in the Wandering Cone League, I have a team that's like a 500 team. I'm 5-4 now. But last week I went and traded for Austin Eckler, gave up a second rounder and a couple of I drafted pretty well where I had like a lot of depth at receiver. So I traded Drake London, a second, and Marquise Brown for Austin Eckler because I desperately needed a running back. And then I just threw an offer out there, which I guess now it's a keeper league and we only keep 4, so a lot of these guys would not be being kept. And I don't necessarily love my team to like take a run at it, but I've just decided to become busy trade guy, and that's what I've done. So I traded. Tell me what you think of this deal. So none of these guys would have been a keeper for me. So I traded. This is a blockbuster, man. I made a blockbuster in this league. I traded Chris Godwin, Sam Laporta, who I love, and Miles Sanders, plus my first rounder next year, in exchange for a 10th rounder, Mark Andrews, who I will be keeping, T. Higgins, who I have a huge man crush on, and Pacheco, who helped solve my running back spot. He's on bye this week, but then all of a sudden I'm going to be rolling Pacheco with Austin Eckler and Mark Andrews at tight end. And I feel like I might have put together a team here that could maybe take a run in this league. There's one guy that has like an incredible lineup this year. But outside of that, man, it's pretty wide open. So I gave up Laporta, Godwin, Sanders, and a first. And I got Mark Andrews, T. Higgins, Pacheco, and a 10th back, which doesn't really change too much. But all of a sudden, this team that I was like, I don't know what's going to work. I went from 2 weeks ago running Devin Singletary and Justice Hill at my running back spot to now running Austin Eckler and Pacheco. And then my receivers, even though I traded a bunch of them, I'm still rolling CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, T. Higgins, and Jordan Addison. And then I upgraded the tight end spot from Laporta to Mark Andrews. And my quarterbacks moving forward will be Deshaun Watson, Justin Fields, or Jared Goff. So I've got some options there as well. And I think I might have another trade just sitting out there, hanging out there. I usually never trade this much in this league. But, and then I've already tried to flip Pacheco and Jordan Addison for Travis Etienne and Osborne. So just crazy times in the Fantasy Football 5 right now. Wheeling and dealing. As far as tonight games go, I mean, if you just listen to the Lock Shop, you know we're not overly ecstatic about everything that's going on in this game tonight. You're not starting either quarterback. You're not starting, flex spot, maybe Chuba Hubbard or Miles Sanders, but you're not feeling great about it. I like DJ Moore, but I've benched him in 2 leagues. I'm not going to him right now. Cole Kmet, Cole Kmet would be a 6 to 12 tight end start. I like that. You're starting Cole Kmet. You're probably starting Adam Thielen. And that's about it. I think that's probably everything for tonight's game. Am I missing anybody? You're not starting Mingo. I guess you could start DJ Moore. I don't love Mooney. Mooney's been better without Justin Fields than he was with Justin Fields, but you're still not starting him. Abutski in the nasty chat says, Garrett Wilson or DK Metcalf in, I believe that's half-point PPR. Abutski, are we talking rest of season or are we talking week 10 PPR rankings? I mean, the answer will always be, for me, I love Garrett Wilson. I think he's a freak. He's been getting targeted a ton. But are we talking rest of season or are we talking just week 10 on a PPR scene? Because it's understandable why you'd be a little bit nervous about Garrett Wilson with the New York Jets. So let me know. I'm going to answer another question, but if you are still watching, man, slide back in there and let's see. Seattle and Metcalf get Washington this week. Wilson against Vegas. They're both in pretty good spots, man. That's a kind of a coin flip. I think I'd probably go DK Metcalf maybe this week. Yeah, I think I might go DK Metcalf this week. Let's get to this text. This was, where is I got to get to this guy. Oh, GSB's wondering where you find all of our exclusives on CoolBet. If you're still listening on TuneIn, you find them in the exclusives tab. If you hit lobby and then exclusives. Okay, so this guy texted in 780-218-9999. Guys, let's try this one more time. I wonder if he sent this in earlier in the morning, maybe. 2 flex spots to fill. What say you? DJ Moore, Alexander Madison, James Conner, Christian Kirk. Thanks, the playbook. And then he says, just got called into a meeting. Please hold your answer until the Fantasy Football 5. Thanks, guys. James Conner, Christian Kirk? I think that's what I would do. James Conner is back. Going to have Kyler Murray there. I'd probably go James Conner, Christian Kirk. No, not probably. I would. James Conner, Christian Kirk. Let's go with that. All right, that's going to do it for the Fantasy Football 5. Hey, if you're looking for a place to watch the Panthers and Bears tonight, because you know what's less depressing than watching the Panthers and Bears at home by yourself? Watching them somewhere else with other people. So go do that. Century Casino, Sports Bar and Lounge, Fort Road. You can hop in there. Lieutenant Eric, it's brisket night. You're going to go in and get that brisket cheesesteak. Absolutely delicious. We've all had it. It's wonderful. You cannot be disappointed. So go see Eric tonight. And, hey, after the football game, you stick around, watch the hockey game as well as the Oilers take on the Sharks. That's going to do it for the Fantasy Football 5. We'll continue to get you ready. They do have a skate coming up here at noon today. Who will be in the starter's net? We'll dive into that during Two Guys and Goalie with myself, Cass, and Gager. That's on the way in just a matter of moments. If you're listening on TuneIn or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, do not go anywhere. And, of course, here on YouTube, make sure autoplay is on. We'll guide you right on over to Two Guys and a Goalie.